my friends, welcome back. Welcome back to the Beltane Prosperity Summit. I hope you've been enjoying yourself. I'm Desiree Dunbar, your host, and I am here with an incredible woman. She has the most beautiful soul, and she has been really expressing herself in such a full way for many years now. And she's someone that I look up to immensely. She is a teacher. She's an astrologer. She's a psychotherapist. She is an author. She is an amazing woman, and her name is Debra Silberman. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So great to be here. Where are you coming in from today?
I am in Hawaii, actually. I'm on Kauai, the beautiful island of Kauai.
Amazing. I feel like you're bringing in those energies for us. I love it. What does this time of year mean to you as we're coming into summer? Maybe it's always summery there, but what does it conjure in you?
Well, I think your point is we're in the middle right now of these two eclipses. And as an astrologer with Mercury going retrograde, it becomes very obvious that it is such an intense moment in the history of this planet because there's 8 billion people. Like we've never had this before. So the numbers, the sheer numbers, and the zeitgeist being so discomforted by, I think, 5G and the computers and the amount of static that's occurring in the atmosphere, that we are no longer in the world that our grandparents grew up in. There's no resemblance of it. Sitting here, we are in cyberspace. I've never even met you. And here we are having all these women in a room talking that have never even been able to hug. I mean, we're in a very unique era of reality. And then there's spring.
Yeah.
And then spring has sprung. But that's really the beauty of Earth, is she doesn't really care that much about us. She's going to survive. She's going to be fine. She can continue to grow. Life is so intense. I certainly see it in this tropical island I live on. But back at the ranch, the human condition is a whole other conversation, which is, I wrote a book called The Missing Element, and the subtitle was Compassion for the Human Condition. Like, we're a little strange as humans. And until we admit that there's no hope for us to be perfected, or there's no hope for us to be able to get it right, like by nature of, we learn from getting it wrong. That's how it goes down here. So at this moment in history, I like to call it her story, because look at all the women you're together. It's no longer his story. In this moment of her story, we are re-entering an era where we've got to be real and honest and transparent and authentic. And that's what my life's work as an astrologer is. I help people get back to their real self.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have any grandchildren, but it feels like the way you're talking to, it's like this is for the next generations as much as it is for us, isn't it?
Of course, yes, I do have grandchildren, and I'm really loving that there's these young beings coming in who are so much brighter. It's like watching Christmas trees go off.
I love that. So you feel like we're in good hands in the future.
There's a beautiful future, but not without going through the birth canal. So we're in a bit of a, if you personally are watching these because you're looking for inspiration from women and you're using your witchcraft or your intuition or your priestess or your wizardry, it's all an attempt to be able to manage this very unusual, extreme state that Earth is in. I mean, sometimes I pretend that I'm an ET listening to us and watching Instagram and seeing how many women everywhere are trying to find their magic. Why? Because one, we have neglected our intuition, but two, we're trying to be the midwives and the death doulas to help us through this transition.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think the women obviously are playing a huge role in this. And it's interesting because it's like we're dismantling what was as we're also creating. So it's this interesting energy of destruction and creation. We're kind of like seesaw back and forth.
Very, very Scorpio, what you just said.
I am a Scorpio through and through.
Double Scorpio.
Yeah, double Scorpio, exactly. What is your sign?
I'm just fire and air. I have the gift this lifetime of tickling myself when no one's looking. I don't have that scorpionic. I mean, I love Scorpio, And some people watching this is the distinction of my work. If they're water, which is what you have lots of, they are moody and they're vulnerable to the collective as though it was affecting them personally. So they go through moods and they feel things and they get kind of caught in escapism and wanting to be alone and not be around people, which is how you end up watching these funny videos all the time. And then I'm an air person. So I'm like, what are we doing today? Where's the wind? Where's the fun factor? Who can I talk to? What's the social media? So I have more of a personality that's entertaining, self-entertainment unit, I call myself. And then there's the earth people who are super practical and grounded. And they're the ones that take the list and do the spreadsheets and take care of the taxes. And they like to go to Costco and buy Windex. Like they get off on cleaning. Like it's a fun thing for them. And those people aren't, it's a little harder for them this moment. And then the last category is the fire people. And they're like, what are we going to do for fun? And what are we going to eat next? Because we need to pig out, have a drink, and have a party, and turn up the volume and dance, and let's go for a workout. So it's the very physical, loud, stick your foot in your mouth syndrome as compared to the earth people, and then compared to the air people, and then compared to the little water ones.
You got my number. I love it. And I know we have dance in common. And I think the first time we talked, which was quite a while ago, we discovered we had some teachers even in common because I know you studied dance in Canada. How has embodiment continued to be a part of your practice and your lifestyle? What does that look like now?
Remember that we knew the same people in Canada. And
Yeah.
that was 125 years ago. Dancing Debbie, they used to call me. Let's see. Everything for me is embodiment. I mean, you can't exist. I mean, if even watching these crazy videos and how much time we spend on podcasts, we're disembodied. We've become like, it's not a surprise AI is our next rendition because we're not taking and tasting and smelling and eating the physical plane the way it's meant to be experienced. And so therefore we disassociate from the food we eat and we just push a button and in comes Indian food. Whereas before people ate the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like the district you were in, they didn't fly food in from bananas from Mexico. It's so funny when I go to the grocery store in Hawaii and there's bananas from Mexico. I'm like, excuse me, they're growing on the tree right there. Why don't we? But we have this crazy reality now where the embodiment of food, of smells, of taste, of, letting the cold water. I jump in the ocean almost every day. I put myself on a bicycle and have the wind in my hair almost every day. I go hiking and take my shoes off almost every day. Like, I want to eat this life alive. But that's not the nature of AI, and it's not cyberspace, and it's not podcasts. And so it's very important in the name of hitting your drum and making sure that you burn the incense and you put the candle on and you really create an embodied witchery, priestess temple. This is so vital to what we're in right now.
Mm. What do you think about this AI? I think you're already telling us, but do you think is there going to be some value to this as spiritual business owners and women in tech?
I think it's going to be scary. AI. I think we're going to find ourselves forced, just like these things. We didn't get a vote. Nobody said, "Do you want to use a phone?"
Yeah.
You hear that sound?
Yeah.
That is called the hazards of living in Hawaii. They come by and they have. Can you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit. Not too bad though.
On in 1 minute. There it is. Bye bye. That's AI. It's a extreme, speedy, alternate world that will serve us, just like this really does serve us. Like I'm closer to my kids and my grandkids because of this. On the other hand, it's a disembodied. That's why the women are so important, because we bleed every month and we cry and we have deep friendships. And so the male patriarchal old story has so been dated. And as AI comes in, which is more of the male, the women are going to have to say, you know what, I want the real thing.
Mm.
That's going to be our job.
Yeah, I've been working with Amy Yamada. Maybe you've heard of her. She's a coach in the industry, a transformational coach, I would say, but she's on the leading edge of AI. Her partner happens to be a software programmer, and she kind of wanted to get her fingers in there. But her approach is interesting because it's heart centered. I don't know how much influence we can actually have, but her suggestion is to do things like talk into your phone from a heart, drop into your heart and say what you want to say, record it, and then pop it in to the AI from there and see what it does from there. So I think there's some women, especially women, that are doing some creative things to see what they can do. But yeah, we will see what happens, won't we? Yeah, so you're so connected to nature. I love that myself as well. My parents both grew up in this tiny little mining town in British Columbia called Braylorn, BC. Both their parents came over with the gold rush, and we still have a cabin there on a lake. And it's the most pristine wilderness. Like, if you think of Canada, it's like one of the most beautiful places you could be. And so I grew up there without power or running water. My parents were hippies. They spent the first year of my life there. And so my first year was spent there, and I still go there today. It's still in the family. It's such an amazing place. And it's said to have the cleanest water in all of Canada in this one lake. And I just realized like the importance of water. And I know that at some point in my life or my little niece's lifetime, we are going to be protecting that water fiercely. And I know you're so connected to nature too. What are your feelings on?
Oh, that's a beautiful story. Listen, everyone, I'm so happy to hear what you just said, Desiree. Everyone has to have a relationship with the place where you get on your knees and you remember the creators. Like, we are so arrogant, as if we would exist here without, said the astrologer, without the intelligence of some higher power, better known as God or goddess. There's a whole host of names. It's a question of, what do I do? What do we do in the name of the respect for this physical plane? I stopped using a car. I only use my bike, which I have an electric bike. So I am 95% of the time on the bicycle. I'm driving. And I've made my life so that when I live in Hawaii, everything is drivable. And when I live in Colorado, everything is bike rideable. So that's been it's a really good question to ask this forum of yours. What are you doing? Like I was just saying, I drink out of plastic bottles. I have this wonderful athletic green bottle that every day I'm drinking. And I think to myself, I'm not doing anything in the name of reducing the plastic. So let's be guilty for a minute. I'm not doing anything in the name of making a difference in legislation. So I could easily slide into guilt, but what I do instead is think about, back to my book, The Missing Element. Am I in relationship to the four elements? Am I honorable in my relationship to mom, better known as the earth? It's really a difficult question I'd love to ask everyone in this audience, take a minute after this is over and look around at the plastic you have in your house. And then ask yourself, in the consumption of food that you're buying from Mexico that could have been local, just pay attention. Is there local food you could eat? Is it organic? Is there a way that you could assist people by driving together in a car? These are the questions that are going to start coming forward. But at this point, we're still in la la land. And back to your point about this land you have in British Columbia, which, by the way, I lived for 20 years in British Columbia, so I'm in love with that place. Is there a tree? Is there a body of water? Is there a respectful relationship that you have when you eat your food? Do you pray over the food? Do you give thanks? Because if we could bring the sacred back, I'm speaking to a group of women that are all doing their, practices, from Reiki to chakra clearing to astrology. Are you doing your practice with a devotional element? Because in the end, this will not survive as far as the old human form, but spirit will remain the same across all time. So there's the good news.
That is good news. I love thinking about it that way. Spirit's not going anywhere. We are the ones that are, going to be the ones that are going into extinction potentially, right?
The humans. And so we should. I mean, we are a dated breed if, in fact, we don't know how to help people out. We don't know how to share our money. We just keep consuming. You know, we're kind of funny. But the good part about the story, said the astrologer, is when you realize your strengths, this is why I love astrology so much. What is the power and what is the strength that I can do in my own nature? So for me, I'm a teacher. I've got enough air for 6 people. And so I use my air to inspire people to study their unique nature and remember their purpose and put them back on track. Because the best contribution you can make is the full embodiment, to use your word, the full embodiment of your natural, authentic self. Because when that happens, you'll become a spokesperson and something will be calling your name. And it could be just learning how to meditate. If you, like you, it could just be the water element, learning how to come to peace so you don't get all riled up and churned, so that when this event occurs, as time moves on, you'll be the stable one that'll have the wisdom.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, just getting to know ourselves is the most important thing.
It's the greatest gift you could give.
What about for people that just feel like they're struggling, like just struggling to get by, or they're going through maybe a dark night of the soul? Are they thinking about, I want to be authentic and make the world a better place, or are they just trying to take care of themselves and make sense of it all?
Well, the thing that I say to everyone is, please ask for help. Like, if you have any reason to believe that something is not working in your system, and I have on my website, there's 22 certified astrologers that I've trained. So for $225, you can come and get a reading with someone to point out where you need to go. She's not going to be the healer, but she will be the one that has the gift of saying, this has got to do with your emotions. This has to do with your mindset. This has to do with the job. This has to do with your relationship, like help you figure out where is the irritant and then how do I go about fixing it? So everyone in the world knows secretly where they're fucked up. Now, I'd like to celebrate that point, that word. It's nothing's wrong. You're supposed to be. The nature of the design is that humans learn by mistake. That's how it goes down here.
Why are we such perfectionists then as women? You know, we want to get it right. We don't always.
The Christian model came down and said, if you don't, the Jews, if you don't follow these laws, you will go, in the Christian case, to hell. In the Jewish case, you'll be banished if you don't follow. But we're in the Aquarian age now. Do it your way. Don't worry. There's no need for perfection. In fact, that whole principle is so dated. I mean, I've come to love the fact that I'm effed up, like in a little bits of it. I'm not totally effed. I have a primary identity that took me many years. I'm headed towards 70, and I can really feel that as I moved into my mid 60s, I started to relax, and 2 things happened. One is I don't care what you think. That took a long time. And 2, I started to move slowly. I'm not in a rush anymore.
I love that. Every Friday, I teach a group of older adults, and the average age is probably like 65. And I've been doing this for 7 years, and I love it. And it's just authentic movement. We just get in the studio together, and they're my best teachers because of that. It's like no ego. It's just they're there because they want to be there. And the kind of dance that I used to do was like fast and furious Martha Graham, like contract and release and turn and tilt and all the things. And they are just like, let's do a nice slow dance today about spring. And it's so nice for me. I just absolutely love it. And there's just so much wisdom that comes.
Beautiful. And they come every week for years.
Yeah, 7 years. A lot of them have been coming. Like just
Where are they doing this? Like, where are they all gathering?
they're coming to me. We have this beautiful studio that we meet at here in Vancouver in West Point Grey. It's a big old mansion. It's over 125 years old, and it's called the Oak Room. And it's just this beautiful room with wood
Hey,
walls.
it's not on Connaught Street.
No, it's not. It's on West 2nd.
Okay, just checking, because I knew a giant house that was an ancient house in that area. Okay, well, so this is a great answer. For those of you that want to know what could you do, give to your community. That is so beautiful, Desiree, to give to your community and to provide an access for them to be able to move their bodies. You're asking me what to do about embodiment? You already got the answer.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience. But what about for women, like hormonally? I feel that shift too, like because I'm going through perimenopause, just to be, maybe that's TMI, but I feel I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just like, whatever, you guys, you're over there. I'm doing my thing over here. That's all fine. Like, I noticed I started standing up for myself more and really not caring about being wrong or being rejected or going into people pleasing mode, like just being done with that. What about you?
Well, listen to me. Men on pause. Get it?
Oh my God. Yes, I feel that.
That's what happens with perimenopausal. We start to realize the male part of you that was the competitor or was trying to achieve, it relaxes. And it's an era. It's a beautiful era. Menopause. I mean, the bitch comes out. You got to say that too. You get kind of edgy. And that's a result of the lack of estrogen. It goes back into balance. But that era is the transition from, do you like me? Do you like me? To, I don't care.
Totally. And there's a benefit in that because you just get really clear, like, what do I want today? And that's okay if you want something different and I don't have to do what you're doing. And there's a new kind of surge of power that comes, which is really interesting. No
Well,
one,
that's
no one ever really talked about it to me.
I know they didn't. And I remember when I had the babies, no one told me that when they first come out, they poop this black stuff. Like, how did they leave that out? Do you have children?
No, I don't.
So the same thing with menopause. They didn't tell us that we were going to go through this era where we like suddenly men on pause, like, don't touch me.
Yeah, it's an interesting process. All the different seasons of life that we go through.
That's the beauty of what you're doing for us with this forum is all of you watching this, there is a natural organic movement from the planet to your personality to your children. We're all in this rhythm and everything that goes up goes down. Look at the waves behind me.
Yes, and the wood. I love the wood and the waves together. It's gorgeous. So what about this empire you've created? I'm curious about this because you are you're a goddess, you're a queen. You have created this incredible dynamic. I don't know if you call it a school or what exactly you call it, but it's
So
incredible.
every year, twice a year, January and September, we have hundreds of women, 98% women, come and study astrology, and I watch them claim their power. They know nothing about astrology. They know a lot about astrology. Doesn't matter. They go through level 1 and they come home. And I get love letters and I get packages and they tell me I run an empire. I didn't know that. But what was your question?
Well, I know some women that are going to be with us right now are really, we could maybe say soulpreneurs, and they're feeling that same call to be a teacher and to make it happen online, which is still kind of a new idea for some people. And what advice do you have for women that are maybe just getting started? Do they just
A company with 50 women and they're all unbelievably soul driven. So 30 of them are teachers, 10 of them work full time, and then we have some associates. The advice of women run companies or creating an empire or going online, because it happened to me too. I did not know what that meant. The first person that started my school, the online school, it's just a 6-week class. It's once a week for 6 weeks. I created the curriculum, and the next thing I knew, people were learning astrology. And I mean, it's crazy. So if you have a skill set, there's a few really cool women you should put on your podcast or inside the circle. One is Jolie Dawn, Dawn. One is Destiny Berman. She's also an online master. One is Krista Rimpa. Authentic Audience is the name of her company. And they all teach women how to go online and get themselves into a presence where you just create a little course and then it supports you. And we run a multi-million-dollar company and it's all based on women. I love it so much that really want to make a difference.
that is incredible. Did you have that idea?
I did not. It all started with Destiny. This woman said to me straight up, Would you be, just like you're saying, would you be interested? Because all of you watching this, you probably, if you're watching this, you've got witchy energy. So whether it's the tarot cards, or whether it's using Reiki, or whether it's using shamanic, or whether it's using plant medicine, or whether it's using past lives or hypnosis or Akashic records or mediumship, there's a million of them. But how do you stand out? Well, that's what the internet, and people that have lots of air know how to use the internet. I better known as, I know how to delegate. I don't know how to use the internet. I have very profound helpers.
That's
And
amazing.
you have to be willing to say, one, I'm worthy.
Yeah.
I've got a message. And then two, I'd like this to reach lots of people. How can I do that?
I love that.
All you got to do is ask. Just those people I just gave you, those 3 different women, Krista, Jolie, Destiny. There are others that teach the skill set, but they're all over Instagram, and you've got to go learn from someone. That's what I did.
I love that curiosity, worthiness, and then get your teacher and you're good to go.
Yes. And if you don't know what you want to teach, that's when you come to see me. If you're like, I really have a natural gift with people, and I love staring at them, and I love talking to them, and I love listening to their stories. If you're someone that loves listening to stories, you could be an astrologer. And in level 1, it's less about being the astrologer. It's more about finding out what you're supposed to be doing. And then level 2 is I'll teach you how to be an astrologer. And then level 3 is I'll send you clients. So if you're interested in our school, it takes a while before I send you clients, but you've got to come and be willing to study.
Amazing. And do you have a mastermind too? I think I saw that you have like a special.
Yes, I did it once. I loved it, but I'm writing a book right now, so I'm a little busy.
Ooh, okay. Well, as we finish out, just give us a little hint of what your book is.
Well, it's based on my podcast, which is called the I Don't Believe in Astrology podcast. And it is helping people believe in astrology that don't believe in it. But more importantly, it's about human nature is really there's some faulty designs, like we don't know how to forgive, and we don't know how to love ourselves, and we have internal dialogue that's mean, and the book helps diminish that.
And when can we expect to find that on the shelf?
For a while.
You're gonna keep us waiting, but we can scoop up your other one. Tell us the name one more time of your recent
Element. Yeah, and if you get it, I will send it to you with a signed book and with your chart in it. So if you get it from my website, I will give you your chart. If you don't have your astrological chart, I can help you.
I love that idea. That's so generous. That's beautiful. That's amazing. And we're going to share your Instagram right down below. Everyone, if you haven't been to Debra's Instagram, it's so lovely. It's just full of humor and also meaning and play and all those.
Every day there's a video on astrology that comes out for free.
It's so awesome. And you're like, got the cosmic background and the planets and at the time of this, it's May the 9th, I believe, we're releasing this. Do you have a sense of what's happening on that day? We're coming.
Just finished 2 eclipses, because the second eclipse, so we're at the shadow of it. It just means that we're in Taurus season, and we're being asked to slow down and take this information in, and don't just let it be hot air. Go and look for the book. Go and follow through with the class. Go and ask for help. Go and do something, said the Taurus.
Get it done. Let's go, everybody. Thank you so much, Debra, for taking the time out to be with us and for everything you're doing in the world. It's such an inspiration.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Aloha.
Lift yourself higher. Lift yourself higher.